Welcome to Stories Room. Enjoy listening and don't forget to subscribe. A quiet suburb of a large city was home to a beautiful two-story house with neatly trimmed hedges and bright flower beds lining the porch. Inside lived a married couple, Michael and Emily. Their marriage once seemed nearly perfect, a harmonious balance of romance and mutual understanding. Michael worked successfully in the IT field, providing the family with comfort and stability. Emily, attractive and energetic, managed both her office job and regular fitness sessions at a local gym. Neighbors would often say, "They're such a lucky couple." Yet behind this outward gloss, troubling signs had begun to appear. Disagreements over small issues, weary looks, and, most notably, Emily's surge in business trips that conveniently fell on weekends Michael had hoped they could spend together. Only half a year earlier, their evenings had felt like a scene from a movie about a happily married couple. They would watch TV shows side by side, share stories from work, and discuss future travel plans. But bit by bit, Emily began returning home later. Sometimes she'd go straight to shower, or say she needed to finish an urgent work call. Michael, tired from his own job, tried to engage her in conversation, only to get curt, monosyllabic answers. Initially, he didn't want to make a fuss. He told himself she was simply exhausted from her own tasks. But as she showed less and less interest in making time for him, his worry grew. A quiet fear gnawed at him. What if something more serious is going on? Emily, on her part, seemed distracted, like her mind was constantly elsewhere. There were also times when a glimmer of guilt flickered in her eyes, though Michael couldn't decipher its meaning. And so an uneasy distance took root between them. A few months prior, Emily had met a new fitness trainer at her gym, a young man named Brandon. Fit, confident, and charming, he quickly became popular among the club's clients, especially the women. He was the type of instructor who made everyone feel comfortable, tossing out compliments and jokes. But his attention toward Emily was particularly focused. He praised her discipline and progress, helping her refine her workouts and advising her on nutrition. At first, it seemed entirely professional. Emily was simply pleased with the extra guidance. She enjoyed feeling recognized. But as the sessions extended, a spark of attraction took hold between them. Emily was torn. She knew she loved Michael, but at the same time she couldn't resist Brandon's easy charm and the rush of new emotions. Whenever guilt pricked her conscience, especially late at night, she found it easier to suppress those feelings than to end her secret involvement. Michael sensed that something was off. He noticed how withdrawn Emily had become and decided they needed a break from the daily grind, hoping to rekindle their closeness. One idea was to book a soothing getaway at an out-of-town spa resort, away from the city, where they could switch off their phones and enjoy each other's company. One evening, he caught Emily before she disappeared into her room. "Michael," enthusiastically, "I was thinking we could use a weekend away. I booked this amazing spa place for us. It has a pool, massages, everything. What do you say?" Emily, uncertain. "It sounds nice, but I'm not sure I can get away right now. There's a lot going on at work, and they might need me on Saturday." Michael, trying to remain upbeat. "I can check if the reservation can be postponed if needed. I just really think we need some time to ourselves." Emily offered a nod in agreement, though her expression stayed hesitant. Undeterred, Michael remained hopeful and began making arrangements. Yet, when Friday arrived, Emily approached him with a regretful expression. Emily, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry. I just got a call. There's an emergency with a project. I have to meet a client this weekend. I won't be able to make it." Michael, pushing back anger. "We planned this whole trip for us. We could really use the time." Emily, averting her eyes. "I know. I'm sorry. It's just that I can't refuse. Maybe another time?" Michael's heart sank with disappointment. He tried to tell himself there was no ill intent. Yet the coincidence, another cancellation, stirred deeper suspicions. He ended up spending the weekend alone, staring at the worthless spa confirmation he'd looked forward to. A few days later, he tried again. This time, a romantic dinner at home. He arranged a private chef and an assistant who would set up a restaurant at home, with candles, flowers, and live music. On the night of the surprise, he decorated the table and set everything perfectly. But Emily never appeared. Hours after the planned start, he received a short text. "I'm stuck at work. Don't wait up. Sorry." When the chef and assistant realized she wasn't coming, they exchanged awkward, sympathetic glances. Michael asked them to serve the meal anyway, then paid and let them go. Left alone, he blew out the candles and cleared the flowers, feeling a crushing sense of rejection. He found himself thinking, why can't she spare even one evening for me? That night, for the first time in years, he drank more than his usual single glass of whiskey. He wandered through the empty house, looking at old photos of them traveling and planning children. Now, all those dreams felt hollow. Am I doing something wrong? Or does she simply not love me anymore? He wondered. Shortly after, Emily announced another supposed business trip for the upcoming weekend. Michael offered to drop her off at the airport, hoping they could at least talk a bit in the car. The ride was tense. She looked out the window, occasionally mumbling about work. He kissed her goodbye, noticing a pang of dread in his stomach as he watched her walk into the terminal. He called her office to confirm her schedule, and while coworkers claimed she genuinely had appointments, a nagging voice told Michael otherwise. By chance, their neighbor Sarah, who was also a member of the same fitness club, happened to visit a shopping center near a countryside resort that same weekend. She spotted Emily checking into an upscale hotel with Brandon. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she snapped a few photos of them together, holding hands and even kissing, and soon confronted Michael. Sarah, hesitantly. "Michael, I'm sorry to drop this on you, but I saw Emily with that trainer, Brandon, at a resort. They definitely weren't on a business trip. Here, I took some pictures." Michael, heart pounding as he scrolls. "Thank you for letting me know. It's better I see this now." Sarah could see the agony and anger that flickered across his face. After she left, Michael sat alone in his living room, staring at the photographic proof. His worst suspicions were confirmed. Heartache twisted inside him, but so did an unfamiliar, steely desire for revenge. Michael, quietly, to himself, she thinks she can do this without consequence? We'll see who has the last laugh. He turned off his phone, his jaw clenched. The kind-hearted man he'd been seemed to vanish in that moment, replaced by cold resolve. He realized that a moment of truth had arrived, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to make them both pay. Determined to strike back, Michael knew he needed more than just a few snapshots. He decided to hack into Emily's iCloud account, something that, with his IT background, was difficult but not impossible. Late at night, he navigated the security loops until he finally accessed her files. A chilling sense of betrayal washed over him when he discovered the text threads between Emily and Brandon. The messages brimming with suggestive banter, innuendo, and outright lust left him shaking. Even worse, there were nude photos of Emily, selfies she'd taken explicitly for Brandon, and pictures of them together, nearly naked, hidden away in the cloud. Michael, reading a message from Emily to Brandon. "You were amazing tonight. I can't stop thinking about our time together. When can we do it again?" Michael, reading Brandon's reply. "Thursday morning's your training session. Don't oversleep, kitty." With each line, each damning picture, Michael felt physically sick. Yet he forced himself to keep reading, refusing to glance away. The entire story of their secret meetups, from casual flirting to intimate weekends away, lay there in black and white. By the end, his anger had hardened into an unyielding desire to destroy them. Michael scarcely slept after that. He formed a plan in his mind. He wouldn't just confront them. He would make an example of them. They would both lose everything they cherished, particularly Brandon's job and Emily's reputation. Early the next morning, he packed a large sports bag with a poster he'd created from the most incriminating photos. It felt revolting to handle erotic images of his own wife, but the thought of bringing them both down gave him the resolve he needed. It was still early at the fitness club. The usual staff and a few dedicated clients were trickling in. Brandon stood by the reception area, chatting casually with another trainer. He flashed a cocksure smile, seeming utterly oblivious to the storm about to hit. Suddenly, people began noticing something on the bulletin board. A large poster featuring shocking pictures of Brandon and Emily, nearly naked in each other's arms, plastered beneath the word cheaters in big, bold letters. A wave of gasps spread through the room. Brandon, yelling in disbelief. What the hell? No, this can't be happening. He lunged forward to rip the poster down, but it was too late. Other members were filming on their phones, capturing every second of his frantic attempt to destroy the evidence. The gym's receptionist, wide-eyed, rushed over. Receptionist, distressed. Brandon, what is this? Take that down right now. Brandon tore at the poster, throwing shredded pieces onto the floor, all while gym-goers watched in stunned silence or nervous laughter. Within minutes, the club's manager arrived, having been alerted to a major disturbance. Manager, sternly. This club has a strict policy against personal relationships with clients. You violated our corporate rules. You're fired. Hand in your uniform and leave. Brandon tried to argue, but the manager shut him down. Emily, who had entered the gym during the chaos, stood frozen. She recognized the photos instantly, her eyes filled with sheer terror. People whispered, "That's Emily, right?" Married Emily. Others murmured about the scandal, some filming for their social media. Frantically, Emily attempted to gather the pieces of the poster, but the damage was done. Multiple gym members had already taken pictures and videos of the spectacle. Within hours, the clips were spreading across the internet, labeling Brandon and Emily as the cheaters at the gym. Brandon's firing was just the beginning. The gym canceled all future contracts with him, and partner organizations severed ties, unwilling to tarnish their reputations. Former colleagues and clients, fearing the same backlash, cut off contact with him. Seething, Brandon realized how effectively Michael had destroyed his name. The once popular trainer who thrived off admiration and stable prospects suddenly found himself blacklisted. Brandon, hurling his phone onto a couch in anger. Damn it, this is all her fault. Why did I get involved with a married woman? To hell with it all. But deep down, he knew Michael had orchestrated everything. And in the resentment boiling inside him, he blamed Emily. If she hadn't gotten us caught, none of this would have happened, he muttered. Shamed and panicked, Emily fled the gym. She drove straight home, hoping to at least speak with Michael, perhaps beg for forgiveness or figure out how to salvage the situation. But as soon as she pulled up to the driveway, she saw her belongings, bags, boxes, clothes, scattered on the lawn. Many of the expensive items Michael had bought her were destroyed. Designer shoes were cut up, handbags splattered with paint, and the locks on the front door had obviously been changed. Emily, voice trembling. Michael, why are you doing this to me? She dashed to the front door, tried her key, but it wouldn't turn. She knocked repeatedly, calling his name. Emily, desperately. Open up. Let me talk to you. Silence. She could sense curious neighbors peeking from behind curtains. The scene was humiliating. The once gracious hostess of this home was now locked out of it, her possessions destroyed and strewn in plain sight. Emily tried calling Michael, but her number was apparently blocked. She texted him. Michael, please talk to me. We have to figure this out. I know I messed up, but just listen. No reply came. Feeling utterly hopeless, she turned to the only other person who might sympathize, Brandon. But when she managed to get him on the phone, his coldness stunned her. Emily, Brandon, I have nowhere to go. Maybe I can stay with you. Brandon, icily no. I've got my own problems. Don't call again. Emily, through tears, but Brandon, I lost my career because of you. Sort yourself out. He hung up. She stared at her phone, realizing she was completely alone in the chaos. As if that weren't enough, Emily then received messages from women at the gym, some older ladies who had also been charmed by Brandon, revealing he'd courted multiple clients for gifts and money. Emily saw that he'd lied to her too. Within mere days, she had become a public pariah, branded an adulteress, thrown out of her own home, shunned by old friends, and now abandoned by the very man she'd risked everything for. Kneeling on the ground beside her ruined belongings, Emily wept, confronted with the ultimate price of her betrayal. Autumn settled over the city with a relentless drizzle and chill wind that stirred the fallen leaves underfoot. Emily sat in an old car parked by the sidewalk, scrolling through her phone contacts in desperation. Not long ago, she had a comfortable life, a home, a husband, and a solid standing in the community. Now everything felt lost, slipping away like sand through her fingers. Several days had passed since Michael threw her out of the house and changed the locks. Emily tried reaching out to old friends and former colleagues, only to be met with polite avoidance or outright silence. Many simply said they wanted nothing to do with that woman from the viral video. She knew it was her own fault. But one detail haunted her more than anything: the prenuptial agreement with Michael. She'd barely thought about it when they married. Why worry over a cheating clause when she'd never be unfaithful? Now, that very clause stood like a fortress wall in front of her. Under the agreement, if the wife was found to have committed infidelity, she forfeited any claim to joint assets or financial compensation. Emily realized, with a sickening twist in her stomach, that she was potentially left with nothing. In desperation, Emily consulted an attorney recommended by a distant acquaintance. Martha Nelson was a stern but not unkind woman. After reviewing the evidence and going over the scandalous photos and videos, she gave Emily a sober look. Emily, pleading, "Martha, is there any chance to dispute the cheating clause? Maybe it's unenforceable?" Martha, calm but sympathetic. "The clause is clear, and you signed voluntarily. Your husband has damning proof of the affair, especially after that gym incident. I'm afraid your options are extremely limited." Emily felt the bleakness intensify. She knew Michael would not even accept an apology. He had erased her from his life. Emily, near tears. "What if I talk to him in person? Maybe I can convince him to reconsider?" Martha, "You can try, but if he insists on invoking the infidelity clause, there's nothing to be done. And if you try to fight it, he'll take it to court. I have to be honest. With the evidence he has, the court would most likely rule in his favor." Stepping out of Martha's office, Emily sensed that her last hope was evaporating. How ironic that she once regarded the prenuptial agreement as a mere formality. She decided to confront Michael directly, waiting outside his workplace one evening. She stood under a dim street lamp in her worn-out coat, the same one he had once bought her. Finally, the office doors opened. Michael emerged with co-workers. Spotting Emily, he asked the others to go on without him. His expression revealed nothing but quiet contempt. "Emily, Michael, I know how badly I messed up. I'm sorry. I never wanted this to happen." Michael, his tone cold. "Stop. You thought it would never catch up to you. Well, here we are. What do you want?" Emily, head bowed. "Let me at least collect some personal belongings. I don't want anything else." "I'm so sorry." "Michael, your things are in the garage. All you need is there. My lawyer says we can do a straightforward divorce, no trial, unless you try to contest it. Then I'll file with all the proof I have. You know how that ends. You read the contract, right?" She nodded, speechless. She realized that the caring, gentle husband she once knew was gone, replaced by a distant figure who regarded her with pure indifference. Michael, quietly, almost bored. "We have nothing left to talk about. I'm done with this, done with you. Take care." Without giving her the chance to respond, he turned and walked toward his car, leaving her standing there in the cold drizzle. Later that evening, Michael's attorney confirmed to Emily's lawyer that the divorce would proceed under the prenuptial clause. Emily lost any entitlement to the home or shared assets, as well as any substantial portion of the savings she had counted on. Everything went to Michael, without compromise. She retrieved a few small suitcases from the garage containing the last of her personal items, some clothes, a worn-out laptop, and spent nights on a friend's sofa, the only person who vaguely agreed to help. Even so, their relationship was strained. Nobody wanted to be linked to the scandal. Meanwhile, rumors circulated that Michael was fully settled into their suburban house and focusing on his career. Neighbors soon found other gossip and scarcely brought up Emily's name. Brandon, having lost his job, moved to a nearby city and tried to rebuild his life at a modest local gym, his reputation in tatters. As for Emily, she found herself piecing together a new existence from the ground up. She realized that nearly everything in her past life had been financed by Michael, leaving her with little more than regret. One night, lying on a narrow bed in a cramped apartment she was barely able to rent, she stared at the ceiling in silence. Memories flooded back. Their happier days, the trips they planned, even talks of having a child. Now it all felt like a dream, replaced by the haunting images of the gym scandal that had shattered her world. Thus ended the story of a woman's affair, her husband's vengeful response, and the harsh lesson that came too late. The prenuptial agreement sealed her fate, giving Michael both freedom and financial security, while Emily was left with isolation and the bitter consequences of her betrayal. That's the end of our story. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on new stories and share this video so others can discover these great stories too.